Well, as you can tell, we're going to be talking about being unashamed of the gospel. But the first point I want to bring up is why we are ashamed of the gospel. Like why we're scared to talk about it, and why we're scared to tell people about Jesus. Well, the first one is we care too much about is because we're too worried about our reputation. You know, we all got reputations in school. Some of it's cool, some of them are just geeks and everything. And it's hard to really talk about Christ in front of your friends. But I have a story. Me and some of my friends, we were sitting on the football field and I heard them talking about, you know, drugs and stuff and all the partying they do. And like it came to me like, man, I really should tell them about Jesus. But oh well, I don't want to think that I'm some kind of Jesus freak or something, you know. And as I was sitting there thinking about it, and like after I left that situation, and God really put on my heart that just man, those are your friends and they're gonna burn in hell because you don't want to talk to Christ about them. Someone that saved you could save them, you know. And that really just brought me, you know, to a point where I really have to start teaching the gospel. And this right here, this thing, really just stepped on my toes, and God showed me that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And the second thing I want to bring up is that we don't take it serious. We don't take the gospel serious. You know, it's cool to talk about it at church, but at the church, you know, we just kind of forget about it and just take what we want out of life and get what we want. And I just want to bring up the story about Paul. He was in jail, right? He got arrested. And the only thing he worried about, I mean, he got beat up for the gospel, you know, he's been thrown in jail. And all he's worried about is getting the gospel out. He's like, in Philippians 12:8. Can somebody read that for me? Philippians 1:12 through 18.
Philippians what?
1:12 12 through 18. Philippians 1:12 through 18. 18.
Found it.
Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear throughout the whole place, guard and to everyone else, that I am in chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord, and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear. It is true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love, knowing that I am put here for the defense of the gospel. The former preach of Christ out of selfish ambition, and not sincerely, supposing that they can stir up trouble for me while I am in chains. But does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this I rejoice. Yes, and I will continue to rejoice.
So Paul, a man locked up for the gospel. And, you know, they have no proof of him doing anything wrong. No proof of him saying anything wrong or doing anything wrong. And the only reason why they're holding him in there is because he's preaching about a man that has followers. Jesus has followers that stop paying taxes and stuff because the Romans have been cheating them out of money, and they're getting onto this guy Paul because people are starting to follow him and what Jesus has taught him. So Paul's a man, you know, who's in jail, and all he could worry about was the gospel getting out. You know, that's what he lives for. That's just his main. This is what he loves. He loves the gospel and what everything Jesus has done for him. And I just love the way how he can stand up and sit in jail and still worry about the gospel. You know, I sit on my couch and don't care about the gospel because I'm human, and sometimes you just don't worry about the things that you need to worry about because we're all out of shape. And I just want to bring up that why we should be unashamed of the gospel. First one, we are called to preach the gospel. Anybody can get Mark 16, 15 through 16.
Mark what?
16, 15 through 16.
I got it.
Go ahead and read it.
And he said unto them, go ye into all the world, and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned.
All right, this right here is sort of kind of like the Great Commission, the last things Jesus told us. To go and make disciples of all the nations. Teach them to obey the Lord. And that's just one significant thing about being unashamed of the gospel. It's the last thing Jesus told us to do. He told us to go and make disciples. And then I want to bring it to the point where God will save others through the gospel like he saved us. And anybody got 1 Corinthians 15:2?
Aha. Okay. By the gospel you are saved, if you hold on firmly to the word I have preached to you. Otherwise you have believed in vain.
Alright, so right there means the gospel can save any man from anything. Any sin, anything he's ever been through. And the last thing I want to talk about is leading someone to the Lord after sharing the gospel. I was at Walmart, in the Walmart parking lot, talking to my uncle's almost like son. And we were sitting there, and he was asking a lot of questions about Jesus. And I had the chance to share the gospel with him, telling him, that Jesus died on the cross. And he asked, well, how do I be saved? And, I led him in a prayer. We went from Jesus to dogs. I don't know where I was headed with that prayer. But all I know is that he gave his life to Christ that day. And, leading someone in that prayer is the biggest blessing you could ever have. And that's all. Thank you.
Yay!